This is really great. For my dual personality. This is Nora, and this is going to be Barbara Dane. This has a nice sound, this one here, yes. Now, I don't know how many people in here know who Barbara Dane is. She's, oh good, yes ma'am, or sir, I can't see. Doesn't matter these days who we are.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. So anyway, I really wasn't that familiar with Barbara Dane until I got a review. And somebody by the name of Scott Yano said I was supposedly walking in her footsteps, or the next thing, or something to that effect. And I'm like, who is Barbara Dane? Well, who is Barbara Dane? That's a question to be answered, right? She's a formidable singer, blues singer, and she is still with us too. She's amazing. So I learned all about her. So anyway, this is her story.
It's her story. I just have to point out, Nora recorded this story for Barbara for her 96th birthday as a present. And Barbara was listening and saying, she thought it was her voice. She thought that was Barbara. Barbara thought it was Barbara speaking. That's how close she has it. Anyway.
And that's kind of cool, you know. It's also kind of a little creepy in a way, you know, that I sound like her. So, but you know, you never know. This is a parallel universe, so anything's possible.
Yes.
That's right. Okay, so we will begin. It seems that I've always had opportunities to be one of those performers whose name would become a household phrase. But then I would come up against a situation that involves betraying my own ethics. And that was something I just couldn't do. Once a big agency booked me to tour with comedian Newhart in about 1960. He was just starting out, so this was before his TV show. It was his first big concert tour, and I was the other half of his bill. When they were putting the thing together, Jerry Parancino, one of the most powerful agents in Hollywood, held a planning meeting to discuss the material that would be presented. At that time, I was featuring an Ida Cox tune entitled Last Mile Blues. It vividly described the execution of a black man and his lover's lament, condemning the judge for his sentencing. Well, the reason I featured that song was that the issue of capital punishment was about to come up again in the legislature in California. So when I sang that song at the planning meeting, Newborn just about had a heart attack. He said, "You can't do that. How can I do a comedy after a song like that?" Parancino interceded though and said, "Let her do it. It's one of her strongest songs." So we went ahead with the planning, and they asked what musicians I was bringing. At the time, I was working with Kenny Whitson, a fabulous blues piano and cornet player who hated the system so much that he never recorded on his own. His only recording was with me on Capitol, and when they offered him a solo project after that, he wouldn't do it. My bassist, Wellman Broad, was one of the early members of the Ellington Band, and He was with Duke for many years, and people thought of him as the father of the walking bass. Kenny Whitson had this great ability to comp on piano with his left hand while playing these wonderful cornet solos with his right hand. And I told him, I said, Kenny, we need to get a bass player to free you up to play more horn. Well, at first he resisted, saying, they all give me a stomachache. And then he thought of Broad, who had retired and was living near LA. So Kenny started courting him in a musician's way. He'd go over to Broad's house, and Broad would cook up some black-eyed peas while they talked. And maybe Kenny would bring over some greens to cook. Eventually, Kenny convinced Broad to play again, and that's how he became my bass man. So getting back to the Bob Newhart tour, when I told them what musicians I was using, Jerry Parancino says, oh no, you can't bring a black bass player. I said, what are you talking about? I was ready to tell Parancino to kiss my backside. The Ellington guys were always faultlessly professional. The way they carried themselves, the way they dressed, they were perfect gentlemen, not to mention Wellman's legendary reputation as a player. So I went to talk to Papa Broad, who was very hip to the workings of the music world. He argued hard for his opinion, which was what I should do, was go ahead and do the tour without him, because when it was done, I'd be able to write my own ticket, use whomever I pleased, because by then they would know my worth. You know, this was the only time of my life that I made that kind of compromise. But I did. I went ahead and did the tour. So, we head out on tour playing all these big theaters across Canada and along the coast. When we pull into Sacramento, the capital punishment issue is slated to go before the state legislature the next day. And I'm really primed to do that Ida Cox song. As I'm being announced and start to walk out on the stage, Newhart comes running over to me and literally gets down on his hands and knees and begs, and he said, no, 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 please, please don't do that song. My brain went click, click, click. Okay, if I don't do that tune, I want my regular bass player back. I realized it wouldn't change a thing as far as the way the legislature voted, so the next day I had Broad back in the band, and he played the rest of the tour with us. Well, that's my song. That's it. That's my story.